Hey there, welcome over here to my kitchen. I'm going to be showing you some new creative dinner ideas today. They are all so good. Even my 21-month-old daughter said they were delicious. And then I do want to let you know I threw in a bonus dessert in this video just because I wanted to, so I hope you enjoy it. And let's head to my kitchen and let's start cooking. We're beginning today by making these gorgeous stuffed shells. So to my large pot of water, I'm just going to boil up about 13 to 14 of these jumbo shells, just according to the box directions. Now over to my pan, I have a couple tablespoons of some hot olive oil. I added 1 diced up white onion, and I'm going to cook this onion until it is soft. Now you'll want to add in a couple teaspoons of some minced garlic. Go ahead and stir it around for about 30 seconds until the garlic is fragrant. Next you'll want to add in 4 cups of some fresh spinach. Stir the spinach all around and let it wilt down. This will only take a couple of minutes. Over to my medium-sized bowl, I'm just going to be adding the onion and spinach mixture that we just made up to it, along with 1 cup of some ricotta cheese, a cup of mozzarella cheese, half a cup of Parmesan cheese, 1 egg, just crack that egg in, and then just a dash of some salt and pepper. And then to give this a little bit more flavor, I'm adding in a half a teaspoon of some oregano and then basil. Give this a really good stir. I have a 24-ounce jar of marinara sauce right here. I'm just adding half of that jar to the bottom of my 8x8 baking dish. I'm going to spread it out as even as possible. Next, you're going to assemble your shells. So I'm using a cookie scoop for this. I'm just scooping a little bit of the cheese mixture inside of the shells that we boiled up on the stove. I always find that using a cookie scoop to stuff your shells works best. I don't know, it just works for me. But now I'm just adding the remainder of the marinara sauce on top of the shells. This is going to bake in a preheated oven to 375 degrees for about 20 to 30 minutes. I sprinkled the top of the shells with plenty of some fresh Parmesan cheese, and I served them with a side salad. These stuffed shells are so easy to throw together, and then they have an extremely great, rich flavor. I think you might love this recipe. These baked quesadillas are definitely a go-to meal here in my home. We really love them. So to get them started, I'm just cooking up 1 pound of some ground beef in my pan, or you could use ground turkey, whatever your preference is. After my ground beef was through cooking, I drained out any excess grease, and now I'm going to be seasoning it with about 1.5 tablespoons of some taco seasoning, and then I added 1/3 cup of some water. I'm just going to stir this mixture all together to combine. Over to my sheet pan, I have it lined with some parchment paper, and then I just sprayed it with some avocado oil spray. You could use any type of tortilla you like for this recipe, but I just used the little street flour tortillas. Those are my favorite for this recipe. Anyways, I just put a little bit of some refried beans on the bottom of the tortillas. Next, you'll add a scoop of the taco mixture, and then just a little bit of some Colby Jack cheese on top. You could add any other toppings you like inside of these quesadillas, like jalapenos. Seriously, anything you like, go ahead and add it in. I placed another tortilla on the very top and then sprayed it with some avocado oil spray. This will bake in a preheated oven to 450 degrees for about 8 to 12 minutes, or until the cheese is nice and melty and the top of the tortillas are crisp. Here's the finished product. I just served it with some salsa, sour cream, jalapenos, lime, and iceberg lettuce. I really love making these quesadillas because it kind of kicks the normal quesadillas up a notch, and then it's just really fun and easy to make. My family enjoys it. Now we're making this coconut curry, and if you've never tried coconut curry before or made it, I definitely recommend this recipe. I'm starting out by slicing 1 red bell pepper up, and then over to my large pot, I'm going to be adding about 1.5 tablespoons of some olive oil. Next, you'll add 1 diced up white onion to that oil, and you're going to cook this onion until it starts to get soft. It's going to take about 3 to 5 minutes. Now that my onion is soft, I'm going to be adding in 3 tablespoons of this red curry paste, along with 2 teaspoons of ground coriander and 2 teaspoons of some curry powder. Next, you'll add in about 1 tablespoon of some ground ginger and 1 tablespoon of some minced garlic. Stir this around pretty frequently for about 2 minutes. Now is the time you're going to be adding an additional tablespoon of olive oil in your pot with your pound of boneless, skinless chicken breast that you cubed. Cook this chicken breast until it's only about 80% of the way cooked. I know that seems funny, but it's going to continue to cook after you add in your 1 tablespoon of some brown sugar at this point, and then add in 1 can of some coconut milk. This next step is optional, but I am adding in a couple tablespoons of some fresh lime juice. I think that adds great flavor. And then our bell pepper that we just cut up a little bit earlier. Stir this around for an additional 5 to 7 minutes or until the sauce thickens. Continue to simmer it and let the chicken cook through. Here is the finished product. The chicken is completely cooked at this point. I just topped mine with some fresh cilantro and I placed it in a bed of some white rice. This meal is so good. It is not spicy, so if you're worried about it being spicy, it's not spicy. It just has some amazing flavor. Now we're making TikTok's popular baked feta pasta. I made this a little while ago, but I wanted to make it again. So to my casserole dish, I added 16 ounces of some cherry tomatoes. I used orange and red. Next, you'll add 1/3 cup of some olive oil with a teaspoon of dried oregano and a teaspoon of dried basil. Just give it a little shake of some salt and pepper to your taste. Now I'm adding in about 6 to 7 cloves of some garlic. They are still in their peel just because they're going to be super easy to unpeel. You'll see in a moment once it is cooked. I gave it a good mixing with my hands, and now I'm going to be adding in my block of feta cheese. It's about 8 ounces of that. And then you're going to place this in a preheated oven to 400 degrees to bake for about 30 minutes. While we have that in the oven baking, I'm going to boil up our 8 ounces of noodles. Use any type of noodle you like, but I found these fun ones at the grocery store and I knew I had to buy them for this recipe. But after my noodles are cooked, I'm going to reserve 3/4 of a cup of the pasta water for a little bit later. Here's the tomatoes and feta out of the oven. I'm just going to remove the garlic at this point and take the peel off. It should be super duper easy to take off just because it was roasting, so it should come right off. After I'm finished taking the peel off of all my garlic, I'm just going to mash up the tomatoes and the feta and combine them well together. My daughter Brindley was playing in the background and she was being super funny on that particular day, but now I just added in the reserved pasta water with 1/4 cup of fresh basil that I just chopped up. Mix this all together to combine. Once it is super smooth, add your noodles that you drained in and give it a good stir, then it's ready to serve. I really love topping mine with some fresh Parmesan cheese. If you haven't already tried this baked feta pasta recipe yet, I definitely suggest you trying it just because it is so good, especially if you are a feta lover. I think this dinner might be a winner for you. I haven't made sweet and sour chicken in such a long time, and let me tell you, I am so happy that I finally made it again. So in this bowl, I have a little over 1/2 pound of some chicken breast that I cut into about bite-sized pieces. I seasoned it with some salt and pepper. Now I'm going to set it to the side. To make the sweet and sour sauce in this little bowl, I just added 1/4 cup of some ketchup. Next, I'm adding 3 tablespoons of sugar, 2.5 tablespoons of white vinegar, a teaspoon of some low sodium soy sauce, and then you're going to whisk this all together. To begin on the flour mixture in this bowl, I'm going to be adding 3 tablespoons of some all-purpose flour. Next, you'll add about 2 teaspoons of some cornstarch, 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, just a little dash of some salt, 1/4 cup of cold water, and 1 egg white. Whisk this all together. To start frying up our chicken, I have 3 cups of some super hot canola oil in my large pot right here. You're going to grab a piece of your chicken, put it in the coating that we made up, and then place it into the hot oil in your pot. I did do this in 3 separate batches because you don't want your chicken to be overcrowded in your pot while it is frying. It just won't cook very evenly and the coating will probably fall off. So after about a minute of frying my first batch of chicken, I gave it a good stir, and this is going to continue to fry for about 5 more minutes. After it is through frying, I just put it on a separate plate and set the plate to the side. So now that all 3 of my batches of chicken are finished frying up, I'm going to start on the sauce mixture. So in my saucepan, I have a tablespoon of hot olive oil. I added 2 bell peppers, a green one and a red one, sauteed those around for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then I added our sweet and sour sauce that we made up. I'm going to stir the sweet and sour sauce around until it starts to thicken. Once it has thickened up, you're going to add your chicken, give it a good stir, let the chicken get coated in the sauce, and then it is ready to serve. I served mine over a bed of some white rice with some sesame seeds on the top. If you like yours extra saucy, just double the sweet and sour sauce, but seriously, this recipe is spot on. Now we're making this amazing ice cream cake dessert. It has to be one of my all-time favorites. It's a Buster Bar ice cream cake. So in my large gallon-sized bag, you're going to want to add about 16 Oreo cookies. And then after that, you're just going to seal up your bag and then crush your cookies, or you could do this in a food processor. You just want your Oreo cookies to be pretty fine. After you are through crushing up your cookies, you're going to be adding 1/4 cup of melted butter in, and then mix it all together. I'm using a pie dish, or you can use an 8x8 baking dish, whatever you prefer for this recipe. After I poured my Oreo cookies on the bottom of my pie dish, I spread them out as even as possible with my hand, and I kind of also press them down. So for the ice cream, I'm using 5 cups of vanilla ice cream. My ice cream is definitely softened. I left it out on my countertop for about 30 minutes before I even started making this recipe, just so it was super easy to spread on the Oreo layer. So now I'm just going to stick this in my freezer to harden. Now we're going to begin on the chocolate topping. So in my pot, I just added 6 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate chips, 1/4 cup of butter, 1 cup of powdered sugar, and 6 ounces of some evaporated milk. You're going to cook this on a medium-low heat and let everything melt. You do want to stir this very frequently while this is cooking, just to ensure that the chocolate doesn't burn. After it looks like this and it has thickened, you're going to pull it off of the heat and set it on your countertop and let this completely cool down. Once it has completely cooled down, it took mine about an hour, you're going to place some of your dry roasted peanuts on top of the ice cream layer on your cake. I added about 1 cup of those peanuts just because we really do like peanuts in our home. So on the very top, you're going to add the chocolate saucy mixture and then place this in your freezer to harden for about 30 minutes to an hour. Then you are able to enjoy it. Once it was out of the freezer, I just sprinkled it with a little bit of some powdered sugar, and this has to be one of my hands down all-time favorite ice cream cakes ever. I love the different layers, and it's just so good and really simple to throw together. That is a wrap of this video today. I really hope you enjoyed it, and as always, if you're new here, I'd really love to have you. So go ahead and subscribe down below the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.